I've never done good in a professional mud race in my career. I'm happy to come away with a win.
Yeah, that might have been dumb luck. It did drop, but I just went back to the red plate where we belong.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Title 24, presented by NBC Sports. I'm your host, Ricky Carmichael, along with my co-host, Ryan Villopoto. Hopefully everyone's doing well. Before we get going, we got to thank our great partners, as always, and we have a new one this week. But let's thank United Motorsports. We appreciate you guys. Quad Lock Case, Boxo USA, and then our new partner, Dunlop Tires, best tires in the business, hard-working crew. They test, work hard, best tire, like I said, in the paddock, in my opinion. And we're happy to have you on board and along for the ride. They're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff, a lot of engagement throughout the season of Title 24. So we're excited to bring them on board, and we're going to have some good fun. So we'll have more details about that. But nevertheless, exciting weekend, RV, a wet weekend, that is. It always is a bummer. But dude, we're gonna just get into right off the top the quad lock question of the week this week because it was such a hot topic. And the quad lock question of the week comes from Brad A-U456. And Brad asks, should Supercross be indoors under the roof? ? That shiz racing to sell to the world. Leave outdoors to motocross.
So I'm assuming what he's meaning is leave the mud races, leave the nasty conditions to the outdoors. We were talking, Ricky, previously right before we went started recording. This is what makes Supercross and motocross and our sport in general so gnarly to stay in it for the long haul, to win a Supercross championship in the lights or in the 250 class or in the 450 class, to finish 17 rounds. Let's talk 450 right now. Let's to finish 17 rounds, and then 3 SMX rounds at the end of, out of a long season. And when you have conditions like this, that's why this is such a prestigious and such a gnarly series to go out and perform and in the end stand on top of the box, whoever that's going to be. That's why it's so prestigious.
Yeah, Brad, I appreciate that. I understand I understand what you're saying. I feel like RV, you explained it perfectly. I don't even need to elaborate on it. I think also what a lot of people don't understand is like logistics. Availability. It's so hard to race on the East Coast at the beginning of the year because of the football. You got NFL, you got playoffs, college for that matter, playoffs now, and that's going to continue to grow. And historically, obviously, the West Coast is a much drier climate than the East Coast. The weather's a little bit better. I know what people are going to say. Well, San Francisco, it's always raining. Yeah, of course it is, but inherently, like it is a drier climate out there than the East Coast. And I go back to, like I said, logistics, availability. There's a lot of other things at play that I don't believe that people may not know or take into consideration. Brad, I'm with you. Like, does it look pretty? Does it look sexy? Mud races on TV? No, it doesn't. I'm bummed that it's that way sometimes, but to RV's point, this is part of the sport. This is what is exciting about it. This is what makes it gnarly. I think that some people, even if you've never watched Supercross, I think that it's kind of eye-catching, and you're like, man, what are these guys doing? That's brutal. And I give you an example. I have people in town that watch this stuff, have been watching it for the last 3 years, and they're beginner to novice spectators, and they're texting me, RV. They're like, dude, that's unbelievable. Like, I feel bad for those guys, or that has to be right. That has to be gnarly. But this is Supercross. This is motocross. And you can't just have all Supercross indoors. Yes, at times I think that would be convenient, but at the same time, I think there needs, it is what it is. It's the product. It's the product, and you move on.
To be honest, if you go back and look, we've been very, very fortunate. I think at East Rutherford last year was kind of a mud race, or was a mud race ish. It wasn't like San Fran this last weekend. San Fran was much more,
Yep.
much worse, much more treacherous. But we've been pretty lucky in the last few years where we haven't had a legit mud race. So it's par for the course. We're gonna have those races that are gonna be muddy, that are gonna be a total blowout. But like you said, it isn't sexy to go out and race in that. You don't. I mean, half the time you can't see who the riders are. That's thank goodness for the transponders. But yeah, logistics of getting every team, every flight, hotels, Dirtworks crew, locking down all the stadiums, like you said, amongst, let's be honest, probably bigger sports than we are football. So we got to kind of fit into that. And when we get those opening spots, there's no moving it. It is what it is, and that's why it's so prestigious to win a Supercross title.
Yep, 100%. RV, great insight there. Brad, thank you for the question. I understand your frustration, but outside of what RV and what he said about it, there's also, like we said, logistics, availability. So we appreciate that question, and the reason that Brad, you win the Quad Lock question of the week, because that's going to get us into what a lot of the questions and the fan interaction was about on Title 24. We appreciate all your guys' engagement. So that's why you win. You know what to do. Go to the Title 24 Instagram page, the direct message. JH will get you in contact with Quad Lock. At the same time, check out quadlockcase.com. They got everything you need, from cases, chargers, mounts. We talk about it every week. I think the easiest thing for you to do is go check out, everyone go check out their website, and you can pick whatever you may need. That gets us into the other questions. So Savannah Leach 94 asks, what skills are more beneficial to have to survive during a mud race versus a regular race? Go for it, RV. What do you think?
Well, I don't know if I'm a good guy to answer this. I wasn't super awesome in the mud, but I did get to watch some of the pre-race as on Peacock and the broadcast of listening to some of the guys and their mentality and the way they were coming into the weekend in that mud race. So yeah, a lot of it is attitude, and I think it's also a little bit different. I'm going to be honest. When I came into mud races, I was always a championship contender. And I think the mentality of a championship contender coming into a mud race, I think as much as it has way more weight on the championship contender's shoulders because there's so much more that can happen, from bike failures to mistakes, mishaps that you've done on your own. You go down, you get grips all muddy, goggles fail, bikes potentially can fail. So it is a survival of the fittest, so I think mentality coming into these mud races to, knowing that anything can happen, but also trying to ride as free and and have as, I guess, as much fun as you can. I was never one of those guys that could do that. I dreaded it as soon as it was going to be a real mud race. I wasn't stoked. What do we have here? This looks like 06 San Fran. I think so. I think that's me. I pulled the whole shot.
There you go.
Young, dumb, right here. Tried to jump the finish line. Put her in the dirt, and that was kind of my race. I think.
Dude, look how big your lead was already.
I know. I think Ramsey ended up winning that race in 06. You raced that race also, RC. How do you think it compared? That one looked like pretty treacherous. Now that I see it,
I think it was treacherous. Yeah, I think it was treacherous. Maybe the dirt, the mud got a little thicker this weekend compared to 2006. It's hard to tell. I do know that 2006 was gnarly. That's for sure. I mean, it like, just looking at it, and you kind of look at the ruts there kind of in the background, it still looks pretty brutal. Maybe the rhythm lanes weren't as long, so that made it a tad easier. But I want to bring up something that's really important of what you said, RV, and our listeners, whether you watch us on YouTube or Peacock, or you listen on our podcast. RV said something that's super important. He talked about him being a championship guy, and how he approaches the mud races. And it kind of segues to what Savannah Leach 94 asked, what's more beneficial? The mentality or the mental side of things. RV was a championship guy. And I think not every, but I think a lot of championship guys approach a mud race to just go out there and make all of the laps, preserve your bike to the end, and stack as many points, accumulate as many points as possible. If the win is there, of course, we all want to win. But I think, at least for me, I was always like AV. I'm like, big picture here, big picture. I'm not like winning isn't even a thought. I just want to go out there and do the best that I can, try to get the whole shot. If not, take it one lap at a time, and whatever I get, just make sure that I finish and let the race come to me and don't crash. And it's all, the mental side of things. I think if you're not a championship guy, then I think you can throw caution to the wind, and that's almost like your opportunity to go out.
Yes.
It's like right? The mud races are like an equalizer. And I think that was kind of the same thing for like Prado. If I was Prado, I would have been pumped. Speeds were going to be a bit slower. You're used to riding in this condition, and it is an equalizer. So RV bringing up some really good, that was good stuff that you talked about, RV. Next question is D-P-Gill 23. This person asks, in muddy conditions, is it tougher mentally or physically? RV, I personally feel like mentally it wasn't that tough because you're not going that fast. And the reason that I think that it wasn't as mentally tough, because I was so worried about not crashing and muscling the bike around physically, that I felt like it was tougher that way. I feel like mud races, like I said, were tougher physically. How about for you?
Yeah. I think once the gate drops at that point, then you're just dealing with survival, and the bikes get much heavier. And if you do put that sucker on the ground, now your grips are dirty and your gloves are wet.
Right.
You don't have the strength in your hands. Even if you have the strength, you don't have the grip. And I'll bring it up too. I was just watching when you put your goggles on the line there in 06, like we haven't had a lot of advancements, let's say for mud conditions, other than, like we would use skid plate foam for kind of tape it on top of the helmet. But now they have actually some really cool, I guess like a bra that goes over the helmet.
Right.
They have double-sided sticky tape foam that's really thin now. And the main thing where I was going with this is you had the original not original Oakley, but your what was it? The frame you wore.
frame.
The O frame.
That's
now,
right.
Guys, the strip of film on these goggles in 06 was very. I mean, the strips now that our racers are racing with are basically double the width. You have double the width. So we were down here. Now it's this much. It's much wider. So
like
I think
basically like
really,
4 millimeters. Imagine like 4 millimeters in our day, RV and I day. And then now, to Ryan's point, it's like 8 mil.
Yeah, exactly. So it's double the size, and a lot of that has to do with the frame. How they've designed these goggles now, which is huge. I think that is one thing that if nothing's really changed in the mud racing other than those two things, stuff for the helmet and the goggles. And goggles is the biggest thing, right? I know I'd heard somebody talking, are we going to see guys wear doubling up goggles? Because I know I've seen that in the past where you put your originals or put your first set on, and then you put your second set on just for the start as you watched everybody coming down the start line there. And as soon as you get blasted with the water, a lot of times water goes behind the film, goes behind your tear-offs, regardless if you have 20 tear-offs left on your goggles. If water gets behind the base tear-off, you're kind of screwed there. It kind of ruins your whole set of goggles.
Mickey's _D. Is there an effective way to train for races like this past weekend? ? Or just send it ? What do you think?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that you can't ride cautious in the mud. I think you have to kind of attack the track and push through that muddy condition. But also too, there is guys that East Coast guys, Brock Hepler, for example, that I used to race against, spent a lot of time kind of riding that slippery clay, material. And sure, he was one of the better mud riders. So I think if you grew up kind of riding the mud, Occasionally it's not something people go out and chase after because it's very hard on your equipment. I mean, you'll roach a bike in a couple mud practices, let alone a race like this. Guys, these mechanics are going to go back and tear every nut and bolt apart off that motorcycle. So it's very hard on equipment. So it's kind of what you grew up into. I didn't have my parents didn't have the funds, the
resources,
the resources and the funds to just go out and destroy motorcycles in the mud at the time. If
Hey,
it was
RB, did you once you turned pro, did you ever practice in the mud when you had the resources, you had the facility? Did you when it was completely so? If the people who's watching the broadcast this week, we showed a clip of Garrett Marchbanks at club riding in an absolute downpour. Did you ever train in those conditions?
Once I was pro, yes, I spent a little bit of time in Michigan with Nick, and was able to get some of those conditions. But like I said, it's maybe one day a week, every couple months. Once I moved to 450 and had my own place in Florida, you would see, hey, Eldon would be out there. We'd start a moto, and here comes the clouds rolling in, and it just would dump on you. Back to that though, my facility was quite a bit of sand in it, so it really didn't. I mean, it would have if you had 42 bikes on the track, it would have gotten really kind of nasty and muddy. But we had 3 bikes on the track, so yes, you need to ride those conditions to a certain extent. But yeah, there's really no training for it,
Yeah, that's a really good question. That I appreciate you, Mickey's _D, because I get asked that often. You probably do too, and I always tell everyone, like, and this is the God's honest truth, is I never really practiced in the mud like an absolute monsoon. Did I practice when it was sloppy and all that? Of course I did, but you could still jump all the obstacles and that. But like downpours, maybe
going out on the track to roll your Supercross track and say, hey, I'm getting my mud practice in now. It's like we see it once or twice a year, right? So it's not something. I think that you got to ride sloppy conditions, but it's not something we go after.
Yeah, 100%. And I was always worried too. Well, number one, I was like, oh sweet, it rained today, I get a break. But at the same time, I think when you get to a certain level, like we have so much experience being in those situations that you don't, that's another reason you don't have to do it. And quite frankly, I was scared to like hurt myself. You raise the risk of putting your knee down. Maybe you pop an ACL. I mean, the risk isn't worth the reward. So going back to the quad lock question of the week, Brad A-U 456. Appreciate your question. Try to be a little more positive. I know you don't like, I know you didn't like what it looked like on TV, but still, I'm sure you appreciate these guys' talents and how they're able to muscle around these motorcycles. So we appreciate you. Everyone check out Quad Lock. All right, moving along. Dude, Chase Sexton gets his first win of the season. I mean, he looked really, really good all day, even when the first practice. These guys only had one practice earlier in the day, and then they canceled the second practice, and he just looked comfortable. Do you think that he's the new favorite? Do you think this gives him a boost in the arm? What's your thoughts based on the win in the mud?
I mean, I think it's a huge accomplishment for himself on the new motorcycle, new team. I don't think there was a lot of questions answered. It wasn't dry, right? It was a survival of the fittest, and he was the fittest and survived it the best and was standing on top of the podium. I think it's a really good momentum booster for him. I think that you could see the excitement. You could see getting that first win, knocking it off. Obviously, it was in the mud. So I don't want to say there's a little question mark there, but there is a little question mark there. But I think this is kind of the kick in the butt that he kind of needed to come back here at this next round here. I think it's San Diego, correct?
Yeah, San Diego this weekend. Snapdragon Stadium. So
so I think it's good momentum for him. I think it's a good totally. Start to build off. It's only round 2, right? He gets the first win on the new bike, new team. And I think that's really good momentum for him. I think that's going to put his trajectory where it needs to be. And I'm hoping to see it at round 3 at San Diego, that he's going to be that much closer, if not fighting for wins.
Well, it's crazy that I love that, dude, you're bringing it. You're so on par right now. You didn't need to say anything. Like, so this brings me to the next thing is you talk about that momentum. I had heard some rumblings like, hey, maybe they had found something this last week. But we have some sound for you guys about Chase feeling better about the bike and where he's at. And it's from the press conference. So let's listen from the man himself, see what he has to say.
I wouldn't say the best offseason I've ever had. I definitely had some struggles. I was okay when I was in California. I went back to Florida, and I mean, Kenny would see it firsthand. I would have multiple days where I just kind of not be able to ride, and I was just really just uncomfortable getting used to a new bike. I was saying before this weekend, I'm like, man, I'm kind of bummed it's going to be a mutter because the progress we made from last week to this week is pretty crazy, and I felt like my normal self leading up into this race. Even last week after A1, I had a really big weight lifted off my shoulders. Being on the podium, obviously, I didn't ride good. And I was pretty far behind Jett at the finish line. But to get that result and not be at one point, I was like, man, we're going to be lucky to be top 10. So it was some dark days in the off season. But like I said, the team getting me comfortable, it's a completely different motorcycle. It feels nothing like what I was on before. And it can be good and bad at some point. We did make some big changes with the forks this week. That was the part I was struggling with, and we were really comfortable on Thursday. I had 2 of the best days I've had on a KTM, and felt like I was even better than I was last year. I didn't think we'd get here this fast. To be honest, I thought I was going to really have to be patient and just try and work into a good position with the bike, and I knew it was going to take a lot of time. We were testing some big changes the week of Anaheim. So the week before Anaheim, they got me pretty comfortable with the rear of the bike. I was pretty happy with it, but it wasn't complete yet. And this week we did some big changes, and I feel like we're getting really, really close to being we are good, but there's always little small stuff you can make. But I think from here on out, you can, I expect myself to battle. Definitely think I'm in the right headspace and position to battle for wins for the rest of the season.
Dude. Okay. This is crazy. It's going to be long, so spare me the time here. But I take a couple things from that. What he said, he just spilled his guts. He basically, the way that I take this, and maybe I'm not taking it the right way, but he signed with KTM. I mean, he rode the Star bike, he rode the KTM, right? I mean, that's what I heard. So if that's the case, normally you base your decision on how the bike is. And now he has been outspoken about the team and having Raj there and having Ian there. And he has a lot of confidence in those guys. And those guys are really good at what they do. Some of the best in the business. I have personal experience with it. But it's crazy to me that I don't know. I've heard a couple things. I heard the bike that he rode before he signed wasn't the same bike that they gave him to ride this year. So they're going back and forth. Now, listen, I'm just passing the trash on what I've heard. I could be completely wrong. Nevertheless, sounds like they were out to lunch with their bike up until this week. And that's gnarly to me. And I think about they were going to take their time, or they knew it was going to take some time to get to where they needed to be, which is nuts, because I go back to my experience when I left Honda and went to Suzuki. Dude, we were mid-season form at the first round. Like, I didn't change anything until midway through the season of Supercross RV, like when Chad started to catch some momentum, and we just needed to improve the bike and its performance at that stage because the Yamaha guys did. And that's it's different to me. It's different to me, and I was surprised that they really had all these issues, but now it sounds like they have found something. I heard it was some stuff with the front end maybe. So I mean, what's your take on it, dude? Like,
I don't know. I'm sitting here listening, and definitely spilled his guts up there. About the motorcycle per se, not so much the team. Like you said, it seems like he's happy with the team. Me reading between the lines, I think a lot of what his reservations, just watching this, I think were in his head. I think that he didn't know where he was. I can only go back to, and this isn't personal experience, this is racing somebody, Dunge, leaving Suzuki, going to a manufacturer that hadn't even won a Supercross at that time, let alone a championship, and been in contention for a championship. And Dunge came out. Yeah, I'm sure there was problems with the motorcycle. I'm sure, but he was a podium guy. I look at that thinking and watching and almost. I say it's more mental on Chase's side. I think that motorcycle is good, has been good. I think they will make it better, and they will make it better for him. But I think a lot of his reservations, if you had to ask me, just watching this, looks like it was coming from him, from the mental side, not really knowing where he was. Did I make the right decision? Was this the right move for me? Can I keep? Can I be the old Chase Sexton from the Honda on on this new KTM? And yeah, I'm sure he had some off days that maybe spiraled or snowballed with, man, I made the wrong decision. Should I have done that? All that stuff kind of comes into play. And as you see riding with Kenny, kind of same old motorcycle. Kenny's Kenny. He's great. He's moved around on manufacturers, and he's done well on all the manufacturers that he's rode on. So I don't think that they reinvented the wheel before Anaheim won. I don't think they reinvented the wheel before San Francisco. I think Chase is just in a better headspace, and the pressure is a little bit, the pressure has been relieved after Anaheim won, because of just all the hype that rolls into Anaheim 1.
So a little fun story for all of our listeners and viewers is I didn't go through the same thing, but when I left Cowie and I went to Honda, they were changing their frame to the next generation, maybe like third generation frame, maybe even fourth by that time, from 01 to 02. And I remember I rode the bike. I rode the 2001 model Honda, and it was right before Dallas Supercross, that week leading up to Dallas Supercross. And they didn't have the 02 model that I was going to be racing. And I remember riding the motorcycle, and this is like, I'm trying to see if this relates to the same thing that Chase was going through. So if Chase rode the bike from last year, KTM, and listen, I don't know exactly what he rode. I'm just, for conversation purposes.
Yeah, we're speculating.
Yeah, speculating. And KTM knew that they were having a new chassis that they were rolling out, new platform, but they didn't have it ready for him when he needed to ride it to make his decision and evaluation of who he was going to ride for this season. I remember being here and riding that Honda in 2001, the model, and they're like, hey, the 2002 chassis, it's way better. And, so don't base everything on what you feel today and what you like or may dislike. And I'm like, well, I love this bike. It's just as good as what I'm currently racing on now. And I know in 2002, I'm going to be on the same thing if I choose to stay at Cowie. And so this is already better. And I feel like we can make it even that much better, fine tune things, and get me more comfortable when we have more time. And so there was like a promise on their end, like, hey, what happens if the 2002 model, I don't like that bike? Like, what if it's better? I know you guys are telling me it's better, but what if I ride it's not better than this 2001? Can I use this 2001 chassis in 02? And they're like, yeah, we could talk about it, and it was kind of like a soft promise. Nevertheless, it's a moot point at this stage, because the 2002 chassis, the next generation, was unbelievable. Like, whatever the 2001 didn't do well, the 2002 was a complete fix, and it was just a massive change in the positive direction. So we never had to even go down that road. So I was wondering, like, when if Chase, when he wrote it, was it that much better, or was it, did he feel comfortable when he wrote it then, or because it sounded like he was pretty bummed with how it was performing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, like RV. So put yourself in his shoes. You ride that bike and things like insanely good. You're going to sign with him, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then how did it after you leave Honda and then you're having a crappy off season, like the bike didn't get worse, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's interesting to see. I know that, and I
I don't
never
know.
rode for an Austrian brand, but I know the Austrians, they move quite a bit quicker than
Oh
the
yeah.
Japanese brands,
And
and
that's a good quality that they
it
have.
can it can be a very good quality.
Mhm.
But also, if this was a scenario like you're talking about, maybe 2003 bike was great, and then the updated chassis and version for 2024 wasn't
Yeah.
as good, and now they need to fine tune that and get that thing razor sharp, like they at the end of the season when he went and rode the 23 bike. That thing was sharp. That thing had all season raced on it. It had every rock and nook and cranny had been attended to, and now they're starting fresh, right? So on
Mhm.
a little bit different chassis or a newer updated chassis. So that could be something that they're dealing with. I personally think that the caliber of these racers
Yeah.
should be able to ride anything. But I think what
Ooh,
we're
no.
seeing a little bit different now is I'm just going to go out on a limb and throw this out there. I was made to ride, and I know you were made to ride. Let's be honest, a lot of crap sometimes as an
Yeah.
amateur and as coming up
Not
through
the
the
best, but
ranks
yeah, yeah, certainly as an amateur, dude.
as an amateur. And you learned to be fast on whatever product you had. And I'm not saying these guys don't, but I think what we're seeing in today and the trend that has changed is if the bike is say 5% off, these guys you really see it. You
Yeah.
really see the 5% off.
Yeah, it's
Where
not
if
winnable.
the bike was 5% off for me and 5% off for you, because I know the Cowie that I was riding. I have a Weimer, a teammate that rode it, and he rode multiple manufacturers after the factory Cowie, and he says by far it was the worst motorcycle that he had rode. Um, you know, so that being said, I think that we're seeing these guys maybe not be able to adapt to a motorcycle that is 3 to 5% off, and I think maybe that's because the it's the where we're seeing the ceiling of where these guys are right now are so high, um, that little bit is just making that much of a difference.
Yeah, I'm with you. Um, check out Boxo USA, boxousa.com. Fantastic company. They make killer tools, a whole bunch of stuff, wide range of tools. Lifetime warranty. We talk about it all the time. You just got to go online, check it out. That leads me to the next part about Chase Sexton, the Boxo breakdown of the week. And it was Chase Sexton's start. I commented a little bit about it on the broadcast, but some of these guys, I mean, look at that. The gates down.
Jeez.
He said on his interview on the podium, he's like, I think maybe it was just dumb luck. But I was wondering if was like some guys count, right? When the 30 car goes sideways and then they count till the gate will count, like if they're dropping it every 7 seconds. I mean, that's nuts, dude. I don't know. Like it had to be a millisecond. If he had went a millisecond earlier, he would have hit the gate, dude.
Yeah, I
I,
mean, if you're gonna be that perfect, what a night to be perfect on is this mud race. Get out front.
oh,
I mean, it just makes your night that much easier. But as you watch him go down the start straight there, the bike got all loose on him because it was super deep. We watched Anderson flip
yeah,
over the bars there, tangle up Mookie.
yeah.
It definitely helped. But I mean, that could have not been a more perfect scenario for him. I mean,
Mhm.
look at the reaction time. He
Dude,
moved before anybody else, and Prado is one of the best starters also, and was able to move before he even moved. So,
yeah.
uh,
Eli had a good jump too, but there was
yeah,
no one even close. I mean, watch the reaction time here. We're circling it and highlighting. I mean, dude, he's moving. That is great. That is phenomenal footage right there. I mean,
yeah.
clearly,
I want to
you
say
think
it
he's
was.
counting? Do you think he's counting there or no?
I don't think he counted. I think it was a perfect storm. Honestly, looking at him, watching the throttle hand right
Oh
there.
man.
Um, I
Dude,
think
that's
that it was, and
insane.
the anticipation worked that time. And as much as we practice starts, I know you've done it. I've done it. Um, you're guessing when the gate's going to drop almost. I've never been a counter.
No, me either. Me either.
Because let's be honest, AMA failed. They're supposed to go from anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they do it. I don't think they do that 2 second leeway. I think it's within half a second. Gate drops pretty much all night, every night.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to ask me, but I think it was just the perfect storm. He anticipated the gate dropping, and it worked out for him. Any sooner, he would have hit the gate.
That's the good stuff there for the Boxo breakdown of the week. I mean, that was just we had to highlight that. It was I
Totally.
mean, yeah, that certainly helped him. I mean, he was riding well, like I said, all day. Great job, great start, Chase. Hell of a jump. If you could do that again this weekend, you're going to be in a good spot to
Oh, yeah.
win. Jett Lawrence, we talk about him all the time. I know a lot of the fans, they have their opinions about all of us talk about Jett Lawrence so much. The mud was certainly an equalizer. I was surprised, honestly, that he fell as many times as he did. Maybe his lack of experience in the 450 class at this level has caught up with him. We saw a little chink in the armor. What is your thoughts when you saw this? Did you expect more from him?
Oh man, I think he's got a lot. He's been winning and winning and winning. So it had to come to an end at some point, right?
Yep.
Like you said, the mud is a great equalizer
Yeah.
in our racing, and it was
Mhm.
tonight. And I think I don't think that this is a big scare factor for Jett, but I do think that it equaled everything out. I mean, now we have a different points leader. It's interesting. It doesn't answer any questions for me. It's going to be interesting to see how his rebound is.
There you
Actually,
go.
yeah, it's how the rebound is. Yeah, you got Chase with the points lead now. How does he rebound from this mud race?
Yeah.
It's either going to go. If I throw it out, it's going to go two ways. It's either he's going to have a major rebound,
And win.
and win. And knowing Jett, he's probably like, "Hey, it's a mud race." I'm just speaking for him, right? Just off the cuff. Hey, it's a
Yep.
mud race. Things happen. I fell a bunch of
Mhm.
times. I'll be different next weekend, and I'll
Yeah.
come out and win. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see what his rebound is for next weekend at San Diego.
It is. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm not even gonna speculate. We just have to sit
How does
back
he
and watch.
handle it?
I know you're looking forward to that. I know that that's what I'm looking forward to. He's plenty capable of winning. I think
Oh
we
yeah,
we all know that. Or is he going to implode and try too hard and not perform like what he's capable of? Who knows?
yep.
And we're just going to have to tune in and watch. And that's what I'm looking forward to. I love what I saw from Eli Tomac. You even said it on the show last week. Wasn't time to panic because of how far he was off of the leader, but he did well. As I thought about it flying home yesterday, there was that section right after the start. And if you guys remember, he wasn't jumping onto that tabletop. I think there was like a 2-2 and then a single onto a tabletop, and Chase was jumping on there. And dude, he would just absolutely yard Eli in that particular section. And then I felt like Eli would kind of inch his way back on the other parts of the track. And I think that this is so for me personally, I think that this is a great momentum booster and a nice kick for Eli Tomac. Not that I was worried before, but man, going from ninth last week into second, it was a really good points day for him. And even though it was in the mud, I know things are different with the dry, but I think with his experience, him being two-time champ in Supercross, even though it was mud, I think that mentally, I think this was going to be a positive race for him.
I agree with you there, and also too, I think good call it testing for his Achilles, right? Like you mentioned, talking mud and practicing mud and twisting an
Mhm.
ankle and twisting a knee. Those are some gnarly conditions to have
Yeah.
because your feet are always down. Paddling the ground,
Mhm.
easily to twist. So maybe that was a good reassurance for him also, that like, hey, my foot didn't bother me out there. I caught it on the ground a couple times. I had the foot peg hit me from behind. I'm just throwing out scenarios that maybe mentally he's like, hey, I'm my foot is
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about it because these four things that did happen on the track. I was thinking that might hurt my leg or hurt my foot or hurt my Achilles, and none of that happened. Right. So good confidence booster, I think. And
Yeah. You think he continues to run up front now after this weekend? You think is a nice shot in the arm, not only for him but for the team?
I think so. I think so. I think San Diego in the past has
He
it
did
looks like.
great last year.
Yeah,
He did
and it
great
can't.
last year.
It's a more of it's a technical track. I believe the dirt, and why I mean a technical is it seems a lot of moisture comes into that stadium, and then it does get a little bit slippery, greasy, hard pack. So yeah, I think he'll be strong next weekend.
Dude, Kenny, no surprise there. Actually, too, Kenny came from a long ways back. He
Mm-hmm.
had actually the whole shot. He was in front of Chase for a split second, and he stalled it on top of that tabletop. And you could watch the post-race podium, and he talks about it. He was pretty bummed with himself. And dude, had he not stalled it, he would have been certainly a contender for the win. But Kenny did great. This is not a surprise to me. I don't think it is to you, RV. The guy knows how to ride the mud. He's been at it for a long time, and another great ride, not only for Kenny, but dude, that whole HEP team, Suzuki team, Shane McElrath, he did great, 4th place. They got their bikes working well in the mud. But this doesn't surprise me from a guy like McElrath. It's easy to forget, but dude, this guy contended for championships in the 250 regional division. So it was cool to see, not only just for Shane, but that whole HEP team. They sometimes they get beat up. I know it's a feel good story when they do well, but this team's good. They got some great personnel with some winning history. And yeah, I was happy for that whole team and program, dude.
Yeah, no, Shane rode well and to get up on to knock down a 4th. I mean, major veteran, and that's what one thing like we talked about. The mud's a great equalizer. Gives, it's somebody like Shane to get a little bit of a confidence booster and get that 4th and I think he's a top 10 guy, most of these races, so we'll see. Hopefully that, like you said, gives these guys a little, shot in the arm.
Jason Anderson. So we talk about Jason Anderson, and this kind of segues to, so Dunlop Tires, we got a new partner. We're so pumped to have them on. We were talking about them before we came on, dude. They got some great people working there. Brian Fleck, for example, you can share some stories with him, but nevertheless, Dunlop works great. Hell, I've been riding Dunlops since I was since I was on mini bikes. So they're a great company, been around a long time. They got a great crew that works extremely hard. And like I said, they're going to be engaged and giving some product out as we get the program set up. So that leads us to the next part, and kind of like the Dunlop due diligence stage. I reached out to Brock Tickle because I thought it was weird, like when Anderson crashed, and we have some video of that. I believe if we do, let's roll it. So here you go. Here's Jason Anderson. This is the main event, and he's going through a watch. It's hard to see from there, but he just gets blasted with mud. Well, watch, you see, he'll take his hand off and he goes to pull, see right there, he goes to pull a tear off. And as he does that, like, what happened? Looks like the brakes just stuck, and he goes over the handlebars, collecting a couple riders, and then Malcolm Stewart, he hits the down rider. He goes down, just wrong place, wrong time. But I talked to Tickle this morning, doing my due diligence, and BT's like, he says after they watched the replay a million times because they thought possibly it was the lockdown device, the starting device. But he hit a soft spot. He hit a soft spot in the track when he was pulling his tear off. And as that happened, boom, he goes over the handlebars. So I hate that for Jason, just because I think he was in a great spot points wise. He still is. But that that stung a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, the first turn was gnarly. I mean, we just watched the replay of Jason going over the bars
Mm.
in that mud. Same thing with Chase, almost the same thing. Barsha, I don't know if we have the slow mo of Barsha's, but slow mo on Peacock was insane.
Yeah.
It's tough. You come in there, you get blasted with water, you reach for a tear off, and then you end up just getting swamped there. Really nothing you can do other than I would have okay.
Dude,
Ride blind for longer and keep your hands on the bars, and maybe that wouldn't have happened, right? So it's tough. It's being in that position. You can see all the water. It's just
because nothing he could do.
Yeah, there's nothing you really can do. Like if you go back and you watch a video 100 times, tell me. I mean, the only thing different you could have done was get the whole shot and be in Chase's position, right? And hopefully get through the first turn. It was a treacherous first turn right there.
It's going to be fun to go to San Diego this week. Our producer, I don't like the tone that he has today on us RV being negative, saying there's more rain expected in San Diego. I'm trying
I just looked it up.
Come on, guys.
Sunday. It's saying Sunday, maybe chance of showers. Saturday's looking it's looking clear. What's to say? 5%. Maybe.
There's a 95% chance it's not going to rain.
Exactly. So we're going to err on the happy side of no rain. But like I mentioned, San Diego does get a lot of that moisture blowing in. Dirt's a little bit harder. So it's going to be a technical track.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I still feel like we're at the beginning of the series too. I need like 3 or 4 more good dry races to where I can get a better feel on who I think is. I mean, they're all legit, right? But I still don't feel like we've gotten a true representation of who is who and what's going to happen on several good racing condition situations. That's my opinion, dude.
It's very early. It is very early. Anaheim 1, like we've always talked about, a lot of hype. Everybody loves to win Anaheim 1, but Anaheim 1 is Anaheim 1. And then we had a major mud race for round 2. So yeah, to your point, I wouldn't say we have anybody. Yes, I wouldn't say we have anybody that's just a runaway. Oh, Jett's going to run away with this, or Chase is going to do this, or whatever. It's very, very, very up in the air still. Eli hasn't caught his stride yet, I don't feel. So it's going to be some really good racing coming up here, and I think we'll see what you're looking for probably around. I mean, I always say it's everybody as past champions. We always use Daytona as our reference. The series really doesn't start till Daytona, because if you're in it at Daytona, within a few points or in the championship fight at Daytona, that's kind of when when it rolls over into, okay, here's your stretch on the way out, and this is where things really get tough, because that's where you really got to start digging is after Daytona.
If you haven't, check out United Motorsports. This is going to lead us to something that I think was really cool. United Motorsports moment of the week. Check out unitedmotorsports.com. If you're in the Ohio, Kentucky area, they got 6 locations throughout those 2 states. They're doing a one-time deal. Sign up, and you can get a $15 credit if you sign up. So to United Motorsports /Title 24, I believe it is. And they're picking also, I believe it's every week. They're giving away $50 to one lucky winner of the people who sign up. So make sure you get in on that. That is right. Every week. I said it. You are hearing correctly. $50. They're going to pick a lucky winner to whoever signs up. So $75 credit to your purchase. So United Motorsports moment of the night. I think the guy did awesome. It's only his 2nd Supercross, and it's Jorge Prado. I think that, when it's a mud, I've said it a million times, RV, it's an equalizer. And if I'm Jorge Prado, I am absolutely stoked when I see the rain. He is, I'm assuming, that he has spent a lot of time in these type conditions, obviously on outdoor tracks, but nevertheless, the guy can ride. He's a 3-time GP champ, 2 times MX2, 1-time MXGP class, and I like it. I think I want to see him more. I think that this will light his fire, and it's gonna be fun to see. What did you think? Was this? Did you expect this? Were you not expecting this? I mean, like, what's your analysis on it?
I mean, I think right off the bat, for sure, it's. I think they ride those conditions more than we do in Europe. So honestly, I think it solidifies him coming over here. He gets a heat race win, second try. That's huge for him to be able to do that second try. He rode phenomenal at Anaheim 1. So what I look back to see, yeah, I think he's only here for one more round.
Right.
He planned on doing 3. Maybe that changes, maybe it doesn't. But
You said you were claiming 5th to 8th before the season started.
that's what I claimed. Yeah. And what did I think Anaheim 1 was? What did he end up? 9th?
No, I think was he 13th maybe?
13th. Okay. But he
Something
ran
11th,
up.
maybe
Yeah,
11th, something like that.
I say if he was here for the whole season, I'm saying by the end, by halfway, we're gonna see that man up anywhere from 5th through 8th, majority of the time. But nonetheless, I think that solidifies him coming over here.
You think that was
I think it does. I think it does. I think he did phenomenal Anaheim 1 and remember, guys, this guy is 22 or something, 22 years old. He's young, right?
Yeah, dude.
And a lot of guys that come from Europe, they start in the lights class. It was like me going from here and then going over to Europe in the 450 class. If I would have went into the lights class and had some time to grow and learn and all that, like he's stepping into the big dogs, into the show right now, and what I'm seeing is phenomenal from him. So I think it solidifies him coming over for next year. I think he wants to be here. I think it is one of the biggest shows in the world for two-wheel motorsports, at least in our realm, is Supercross, man. So and we know he can ride. I think that's the biggest question from the Europeans is how is he going to fare in Supercross? Because we know they can ride outdoors. We know that's what they're specialists at. They're not specialists in Supercross. Well, he has just shown the world plus himself that he has the skills to learn this, and also just to come out and do pretty well right off the bat. So at a young age, I think he's got lots of building to do, and he's got lots of time to be that much better.
Great stuff, dude. RV, I mean, you kill it all the time, but you're not leaving me with any words to say, which kind of nice, dude. I get a break, but that's your United Motorsports moment of the night. I love that. I hope that solidified Prado coming. I think it's great for the sport. The more racers, athletes we can have come from different countries would be epic. And what I love about it, like when you talk to him and stuff, dude, you can just tell he's living his dream. And that's cool to see. So thank you very much, United Motorsports, for everything. Like I said, make sure you guys go check it out, unitedmotorsports.com/title24. Sign up, save $15 or get a $15 credit. And then maybe you'll be one of the lucky winners who gets a $50 gift card.
Nice.
All right. So we have another fan question, and it's pertaining to Hunter Lawrence. And sorry for I'm probably going to mess up this name. Reisinger MX713 asks, why was Hunter allowed to skip the whoops? Well, he's not allowed to skip the whoops, obviously, but you can watch right here. He goes a little sideways. He's dabbing like that clearly was not on purpose.
No,
he takes his time. He doesn't grab a handful of throttle. He looks back. He's just chilling right here. So number one, Reisinger MX713. No one's allowed to do that. He didn't grab a handful of throttle, and that's probably why he was not penalized because of that. They review it, right? Go for it.
Yeah, I think that what I saw it twice. I
Yeah.
saw him go off I don't know if it was the same race twice. I think it
It
was.
was. It was.
Afterwards, they had taken the whoops out, and that wasn't a
Yeah, it
factor
was. It was
anymore.
twice in the heat race. It was.
Yeah, same.
Yep.
He didn't go fast. You can see he went off the track. It is what it is. I think in those conditions,
You get a pass as long as you're not an idiot, like, and go like wide open. Like you guys see, if you're watching, you can see right there, dude. He's just absolutely chilling. Now,
yeah,
had he went off, not pulled a tear off, and just completely gassed her up, then then there's probably going to be, there's probably going to be a penalty. But he didn't. He did the right thing. He chopped the throttle. Obviously, he had to gas it going through the mud, but then he slows down, looks back, makes sure he gets on or doesn't cut in front of anyone. I mean,
scenario would have been different if you would have had if you would have had a guy right on him, and then he went off the track, and then I think you would have.
yep.
I don't know if
Totally.
you would have AMA necessarily penalizing him, but you'd probably have a protest
Yep.
if you had somebody, if they were like bar to bar battling, and then he goes off the track, and then that happens.
Yeah.
It just all depends too, because as a racer, you go off the track like that in the mud like that. I mean, I don't know. Is he going to let the guy by? I think they would have had a protest. That's why it's different. Nobody was around him. Yes, Ferrandis was in front of him. It looked like
He didn't gain an advantage.
didn't gain any advantage, and he came out, if anything, lost time. So
Yep. That's why. So Mike Peltier from the AMA gave us that information. However, they did dock Vince Freeze in the heat race and Barsha in the last chance qualifier. I guess Freeze. Freezy, he cut the track. I didn't see that. I don't remember seeing it, but it doesn't matter at this point because he pushed his bike off in the last chance.
Oh, that rap sheet gets longer.
It does, dude. Hey, and to all of our people listening and watching, I saw you keyboard warriors just giving me the business, sticking up for RV and his take. So that's why I replied, and I said that the angle of I didn't like the angle of Freeze's first corner incident last week. I should have been more specific, so I'll take the blame on that. But you guys, dude, you guys gassed me so hard. So take it easy on your boy, man. Like, I'm sensitive. RV was loving it. I wish all you guys could see the back and forth. And trust me, we get up on here, we screenshot some stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So all right. Also, with that question about Hunter, I think I don't even think we would have gotten that question, RV, if like there's obviously a lot of hype around Hunter. If that was someone else, they wouldn't. If that was McElrath and he went off a couple times, I bet no one would have said anything, right?
No.
Double standards real these days,
Mm.
All right, dude. You had some thoughts on the 250 before we got to the recording today.
Yep.
Jordon Smith, he's never done well in the mud as a professional. Not surprising to me that he did as well as he did, rode as well as he did. I know that he hasn't had a lot of great success in the mud as a professional, but still the guy's been in it for like 10 years in the 250 class. So he looks like clearly he was able to lean on things from years experience in the past. Great job, Jordon Smith. He's a red plate holder now. So what's your takeaways from the 250? Kitchen, Jordan, what do you think, brother?
Yeah, no, Jordan rode well, put himself in a good position. So survival of the fittest. He was able to keep that motorcycle upright, and honestly, that's in those conditions, that's kind of what you need. I think watching, actually, I just watched the lights or the 250 race again this morning. Levi came through the pack quite, from a little ways back, it seemed like. And at the finish line there was pretty close to Jordan. So
he was.
I'd say out of the four that we have on our list today, I think Levi was the most impressive. Was able to, yeah, I think that
why?
From where he started on the gate, not gate, but where he started, I think lap one, to where he finished. I thought that was a good confidence booster for him. Like I said, I know Levi fairly
hey,
well.
you gave him the business last week. You needed to see
Yep.
more out of him.
Yeah,
He
see right there, he
shut
got
you up, bro.
pretty close to Jordan there. So I think that's a good confidence booster for him. I know he had said that he's not much of a mud rider, or even from the Northwest. I think everybody prefers not to ride in the mud. So
Yeah.
um,
All right. Well, dude, come on. Wait,
I
what do
know
you expect of him in San Diego on a good track? What do you expect?
I'm expecting Levi to he has to. I'm not gonna say he needs to. He has to stay in this championship hunt, man. I'm expecting him to be back on the podium. If not, he needs to get a race win. Levi needs to get. I mean, we're 5 points out.
There you
Jordon
go.
Smith with 47 total points, and Levi 5 out, and RJ with that's 9 out of the lead. So really close battle there. Still, bummer for Joe Shimoda.
Smoking Joe.
Yep, Smoking Joe. Bike did not
That
finish.
sucks, dude. What? That's
Um,
crazy. You know, it's crazy. So I talked to someone yesterday, no one from Honda, but someone really close to Honda, and they don't know what happened really. I mean, dude,
it looks
that's
like
the
it's running still, so it's
yeah.
still running.
I was talking about the clutch. There's no
Yeah,
way he smoked the clutch that quick.
yeah. I don't think so either. It was within 2 laps, right? Or it was first couple laps of the main event, and who knows? So that's a big bummer on his part.
Yeah,
Or not
especially
on his
from a
part, but
especially
from the
from a
championship.
championship,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
these regional supercross championships, you start coughing up 20 points, 25 points, it's game over for the most part. So Joe,
Mhm.
I mean, RV, tell me if I'm wrong. Dude, he's gonna have to go out. He's gonna have to win multiple rounds.
100%. And then
Dude,
maybe that's, as we've seen in the past, and we've talked about it on the show, Joe's start to his seasons have not been that well. And if that's a pressure
yeah,
situation that makes
this
him
one
not
wasn't his
perform
fault.
well, this was not necessarily, I'm going to
His
say this
fault.
was not his fault.
Nope.
This was the bike, just having some issues and not finishing. But yes, now does this take the pressure off of him to then just go out and knock down wins? He's
I think it
X amount
does.
of points out.
I think I personally feel like from a championship standpoint, RV, I feel like it takes the pressure off.
Mhm.
But I think it's added pressure now to go out and have to win if you want to win the championship. So it's like a
Yep.
double-edged sword, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even
So
though
I bummer there
me
for
too.
Joe, but we'll see if he can rebound and get back up there. And RJ Hampshire, right? He rode seemed like it was riding pretty good main event. Had the fall. Here we have him on the start here watching the replay. Juju just had a bar length on him, had enough to and he did get a little off balance, and this is
He
where he
got
fell too.
Yeah, he got hosed right there. Burden, he goes down, and then really there was nowhere for RJ to go. We talked about
Yeah.
it on the broadcast, and just lost his momentum. One of the worst places you can absolutely crash is on the up ramp of a jump, and then he goes down again.
And yeah, it's such a bummer too when you get your gloves and your your grips that dirty.
Oh,
If
dude.
anything could be invented for mud racing, it's something to do with your gloves and your grips.
Yeah,
But
no,
definitely makes it not the race he wanted. But as we just saw points, he's not far out. He's
no, he's
still
not.
in championship contention. I
Mhm.
do think that RJ will rebound,
Yep,
and I think in the end he's going to be one of the
top guys.
one of the guys that are fighting for this championship.
One last one on the 250. Super bum for Max Vohland. Dude, I think he was podium guy for
Mm,
sure. Hated to see this. I thought maybe that he burned his clutch out because when we were on the broadcast, I could hear him when he's trying to stay in front of Burden. He was on the clutch pretty hard, but I was told yesterday, like 4 laps from this point, like they rolled his bike backwards and something was maybe caught up in the counter shaft sprocket, but that doesn't seem right.
No, it
because
looks like
he's
he's
pushing
pushing
it.
it right now.
So maybe I got bad information because
Yeah,
that
it's interesting. I mean, you never know until they tear those things apart. I know Ryder V's bike expired too. I think
really is that what
on lap
happened?
on lap 1, I believe.
Serious?
Yeah, yeah. So they're getting as much horsepower, and these are
Yeah.
highly tuned machines. And you put that much water and that much mud. I mean, anything's bound to happen. That's why
Hey,
racing in these conditions it's so prestigious at the end of the year when you can look back and see the ups and downs in the circumstances that these riders go through.
like Cliff White at Honda used to tell me, like we had these real killer carbon carbon silencers, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
they're made of light material like the aluminum and stuff was, and they'd crack after about 2 weeks. And he would always tell me they're made to perform, they're not made to last. So
that's
a
right.
lot like to your point, RV. Yeah, they're getting every little inch they can. And horsepower, like the 250 class is it's a horsepower class for
Yes,
sure.
it is.
And
It
so
is.
they're getting every little thing they can out of it, which reminds me of Garrett Marchbanks and Phil Nicoletti.
Oh, dude,
Fantastic
I was
job.
so bummed. I was so bummed.
Where you
that-
wanted Phil to get up
I
there,
wanted
huh?
I wanted Filthy Phil to get on the podium, dude. I
I
was
know.
so bummed he didn't get on the podium.
Right, right. Carson Mumford, he rode really well. He crashed, came back, and he still finished. He still finished fairly decent, well inside the top 10. So great to see Carson Mumford do that. That's Phil. This really screwed up Phil's opportunity at a podium. He got hung up behind a lapper. There was really nowhere that he could go. He could probably have tried to go around him, but then would have possibly fell. So we're watching Garrett Marchbanks make that podium pass. Yeah, I'm with you. I wanted Phil to get that podium. He talked about it afterwards, like he's getting older, not sure how many more opportunities he's going to get at a podium finish. So I was a little I was
I
bummed for
know.
him too, dude.
That's the
Oh,
second time the podium has eluded him. I think last year there was or SMX, maybe there was a potential podium for Filthy, and it got away from him too. So, come on, Phil, we're
that's
rooting for
right.
you, buddy.
Good job though to that Club MX Muck Off FXR Yamaha team, dude. They're doing great. I know that the Monster Energy Yamaha Star Racing program gets a lot of credit on the Yamaha side of things, but that Club MX team is working hard. So congratulations on third and fourth.
Yeah,
Um,
and Ricky, before we get into our kind of the
Rome.
say goodbyes and stuff, promos, let's talk about the Title 24 live show here
Yeah.
in 2
So
weeks before Anaheim 2 Thursday.
that's right. That's right. So it's going to be Thursday. We will be giving out details, but RV and I
Yep.
are going to have a live Title 24 show before the last Anaheim. It's going to be Thursday night, the 25th. We're excited about it. It's going to be fun, very intimate, semi-private. We're going to be selling tickets. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be in Costa Mesa,
Yep.
really close, right by John Wayne Airport. And
Yep.
we're looking forward to it, just to kind of give back. There'll be dinners. There's going to be a dinner, cocktails.
Yeah, it'll be
Um,
good. It'll be intimate, like you said. We'll get up there, myself and you, Ricky,
yeah,
and do some bench racing before
yeah.
Anaheim 2.
Mhm.
Questions from the fans, and honestly, go out and it'll be a time where for you fans to get to interact with myself and Ricky with a couple cocktails with no
There you
stress,
go.
no pressure situation. Those are the best time that you can have access to us because call it we're working, but we're really not working, right? We're having some
That's right.
cocktails, we're having a good time. So
Yeah.
stay tuned.
Yeah.
Make sure you when we get all the information up, you get your tickets, and hope to see everybody there.
Yeah, so it's gonna be Thursday again, January 25th. It's gonna be at 6 p.m. in Costa Mesa. It's gonna be a good time. We're gonna have steak dinner, some desserts, a little DJ. There'll be championship bikes there and some vintage bikes. It's a really cool location. For tickets, you can text Rich Lane at 310-704-1823 and text Rich. Get after him, get some tickets. I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed. Like I said, it's going to be very intimate and get some behind the stage access and I'm looking forward to it. I've been on the wagon since I had that little hiccup, if you will.
Your
So
episode.
I don't know. I might have to call up Mayo Clinic and be like, "Can I have a hall pass for this
Yeah.
night?" So, but it's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. This is the first live show that we've done. So we will continue to give you some updates on that. Before we get to our goodbyes, let's give you the 411 on what's happening on NBC this week. There you go. The Dakar Rally stage highlights daily, 7:30 p.m. on Peacock. Super easy. And remember, like we always talk about on Thursdays, make sure you listen to Weege and Jason Thomas. That's on YouTube, the SMX Insider Show. They're always bringing stuff from the past weekend and what to look forward to this weekend. Then Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, race day live, practice and qualifying. That'll be on Peacock. And then, of course, the show starts racing 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. San Diego, that'll be live on Peacock. And then Sunday at 1:25 p.m. IMSA's back. WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. The row before the 24 and qualifying will be live on Peacock. Looking forward to that. Lee Diffie and I will be in the booth this weekend, so that'll be a fun. There's all your 411 for motorsports on NBC. San Diego this week, Snapdragon. It's another right-hand start RV, and you talked about this when we were baiting. There's the track right there. You talked about the dirt, how that's going to be challenging. And we got a right-hand start. You said that this is going to be something that the riders are going to have to continue to adapt to and get used to. What do you think of this track from your initial look of it outside of the dirt conditions?
I like it. It looks like you're going to have to, set some guys up. I like how they come back across the start
Yeah,
multiple
those fast
times.
sections. Yeah.
Yeah, it opens up for some passing, a little bit, different line selections. Hopefully, it's not, super one line. But yeah, the right hand start, we're going to see it again. Like I had said, I think show one, it's something we don't see. These guys will get better at it. They will learn it. This looks like it's a hard 180 at the end. So you're not going to have the ability to just chop somebody off. To me, if I'm looking at the starting line, I'm going to be up on the inside. Yep. If not gate one, anywhere from 1 through 5 gates, control that inside because it comes up tight. Guys are going to rush
that hairpin.
Yeah, guys are going to rush in and think they have control, and they're going to blow out to the berm. They're going to leave the inside open.
Yeah.
Stu was always really good at that, being able to all of a sudden sneak around the inside.
Yeah.
When you thought, man, I got the whole shot, here I go, and here he's on the inside. So,
yeah. It's going to be exciting. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We appreciate all the interaction and the engagement. Certainly got to a lot more fan questions and put it in our kind of breakdown. So that was great, dude. You guys are flooding it. We appreciate it. It's so much fun. And even if you're gassing me, I still like it. I got thick skin, and it's fun. So we appreciate all of the love. Remember, you can listen to us on all the platforms of your podcast. Thank you, United Motorsports, Boxo USA, Quad Lock Case, and our new partner, Dunlop Tires. Excited about that. Thanks for joining in. It's going to be good. Remember, like we talked about, if you can't watch us, you can always listen to us on our podcast, the audio versions on all podcast platforms, and then we are on demand on Motorsports on NBC's YouTube page, and of course Peacock. So we're on demand on Peacock as well. So if you want to watch us, you can watch us in those 2 locations. We would appreciate that. Remember to leave your comments and questions for the show. We'll do our best to obviously get back to you guys. So RV, are you going to San Diego?
I think I am going to go to San Diego. I think it's 50 years, right? I think it's 50 years of...
Yeah, it's a throwback race. It's a throwback race.
I heard it's going to be a throwback race. So, yes, I will be at San Diego.
Sweet. All right. I'm looking forward to it. We will continue to post details where you can get your tickets for the live show. Again, that's Thursday the 25th, right before Anaheim 2. Anaheim pre-party, Title 24. You ain't going to want to miss out. You're going to get to see Curly, JH. He's co-producer. And then you're going to get to see Richie Lane, the broker. He'll be there. And of course, you're going to get to spend some fun time with RV and I, so it's going to be a lot of fun. We appreciate everyone tuning in every week, as always, and we'll see you next week.
Hi, folks. Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all, so go for it.